Thank you, Tom. My name's Don Sherman. I'm the director of the Cincinnati Interfaith Workers Center, and we've been around for about 6 years. And what we do, and I'll give you our mission statement, is to educate and mobilize and organize workers, principally low-wage and immigrant workers. We see every day the effects of employers trying to cheat workers, and how that really affects all of us. It certainly affects good employers. They can't really compete with employers who are not only not paying minimum wage, sometimes not paying the wage at all. And so we work, and currently we're doing a couple campaigns. One is with day labor workers. You probably have read in the newspaper recently of the Red Stadium workers that came from Labor Works, which is a day labor hall here. They took out $6 for transportation, even though many of these workers could have walked to the Red Stadium. But these workers were making minimum wage, so that $6 took them under minimum wage. So many times they would wait at this labor hall for hours and hours just to go out. So they spent 4 to 6 hours waiting to go out to the Red Stadium, paying transportation costs that they could have walked to the game, and coming back with $20. So they were spending a lot of their day life doing this kind of work for $20. And we have an expert here. Herman Robinson is going to speak on that. We tried last year to meet with the owner and talk about some of the issues. There are more issues than just not being paid a correct wage. And Herman's going to discuss that. We also are currently working, among other situations, with the Animal Hospital campaign. We were going to try to show a video here, but I think it was just too difficult to do that. I don't know how many people here had read last October about this animal hospital that basically took the wages from the workers, the overtime wages. The workers were paid in a check, and that check, $4, because their regular pay is $8, averaged out to about $128 a week for 32 hours. They were told to cash that check and bring it back in cash, obviously, and give it to the employer. So the employer was taking their money, putting in her pocket $128 a week from each of these workers. It just epitomizes what's going on in this community that's under the surface. We don't see it very often. In fact, in the last couple of years, we've been able to recover over $500,000 of unpaid wages. Workers don't come to us unless they're unpaid, usually. They don't come to us because they're not getting minimum wage, usually, or not getting overtime. It's when their families are saying, we don't have the rent money. We don't have money to pay for gas and electricity. And my husband worked for 3 months and didn't get paid. Those are the kind of situations that we encounter weekly, if not daily. So what I want to do is just present the workers, because I think their stories are really compelling. Do want to just mention some of the more recent examples and how onerous they are. We worked with several workers who worked for a construction company who didn't get paid, and they have families and they have needs. They went to ask their employer for their wages. They were 2 to 3 weeks overdue in their wages. And he said, you dirty Mexicans, you don't deserve it. And what he was doing was not paying these workers so he could compete and underbid good employers. So that's how it really affects us. The good employers, and maybe in this room or people that you know, really can't compete with an employer who's not paying wages. Another really bad, egregious example that I wanted to share with you before I turn it over to some of the workers is that one worker called us and indicated that he just escaped from his employer. He jumped out of a window, a second-floor window, of an employer, and mentioned the name Internal Foods, which distributes Chinese food products in the tri-state area. And what he told us, and we worked with the FBI and the Department of Labor, they brought workers up here from Memphis, Tennessee, and other places to work in this place in a warehouse. They work 20 hours a day, not a week, 20 hours a day, 6 days a week. They did get 1 day off. They were paid about $1,000. Now, if you really went to minimum wage and averaged it out with overtime, they should have been paid $5,000 to $6,000. But, you know, as I mentioned earlier, this is affecting all of us, affecting good employers, affecting terms of what people can spend if they're not getting paid, the taxes that employers should pay, but they're not even having these workers on the books. So I want to start, I think, with Pedro. Pedro is one of the animal hospital workers that I just mentioned before, and his experience in terms of being forced to pay this overtime wages to the employer. We now have a Department of Labor case that they made a determination that whatever we said was true, that this employer owed the money, and now we're just trying to make sure in court that they pay it. So Pedro, would you like